Thank you very much, Shocks. Great to hear from you all on the desk as per usual. We're going to jump through. There's Goldborg. Look at that face, man. Wow.
What a handsome human being.
What a beautiful human being.
Well.
One of the better, best additions, I think, to our analyst desk over recent years. Because like last year, we added this new guy, and I wasn't quite sure about him. He's stuck around a little bit.
He's grown.
Yeah, he's definitely grown. Not height-wise.
I heard he made playoffs for the first time.
Oh, really?
Wow.
That's good.
Congratulations, Coach. Good on him.
All right, well, we are going to be jumping into draft for G2 versus Fnatic, but you all know what that means. It's our first match of the day, so let's bring on the hype music.
Let's get on into the draft. Fnatic, with the highest seed from the regular season, decided on side selection. They picked blue, and we will see them banning out the Lucian immediately here.
Yeah, just a quick note. We were looking at the lobby chat, and Wunder was spamming burger emotes in the lobby chat. There's McDonald's kind of thing, so maybe he's going to flip them in the first game. We'll see what happens, but Irelia ban already off the board. Caitlyn taken away. We'll see how this draft phase pans out, because things like Lee Sin and Hecarim are still open.
Certainly are. Yesterday, we saw a lot of mid laners removed from Misfits. Obviously, a lot more are going to be open this time around. Both Humanoid and Caps have very deep mid lane pools, given their tenure in the league. It seems that right now we are just removing a lot of power picks, but this does mean that the Aphelios is up and available, but so is the Zeri, and Fnatic is immediately going to pick that one up.
Upset on the Zeri, we'll see if we get the 400 years that we saw yesterday, and I think there are a couple of different battles happening throughout this draft. It's the battle of top lane, can BrokenBlade get a carry that he can really excel on, and the bottom lane, can Upset and Hylissang get something they can dominate on.
So we didn't see this yesterday in the Rogue vs Misfits matchup, but Nautilus early rotation. T1 were playing again today against KDF, 3-0 for them. Nautilus, such high prio. Was banned against them, early rotated. Jayce was also a pick that they went for.
Wow.
But instant lock of Viego, LeBlanc here. G2 have two choices. Jayce, they could also go for Aphelios, but I was thinking more so mid lane pick. Vex could be fantastic here. Something like Lissandra could work too, alongside the Lee Sin. We'll see how they dissect this, because there is two ADs banned. Zeri still taken away. And Aphelios Saya, the kind of ADs you would default to.
I wonder if Fnatic's game plan here was to actually deny the LeBlanc away from G2, given that when the Lee Sin is already locked in, that LeBlanc-Lee Sin combo, we know how lethal it really can be, especially in the hands of Caps and Jankos. And on that red side, they also would have been able to ban out some of the counter picks. So Fnatic being very proactive and taking that one away, giving them a bit more agency for Humanoid, allowing him to roam around the map and kind of complement his style. Already looks like a very bot side focus for Fnatic, as we've come to expect from them so far this split, whereas G2 have already locked in their bot lane and are going to look to try and mitigate some of this pressure that's guaranteed to be thrown their way.
Yeah, and the good news for G2 is they have a Nautilus on their team, right? The Nautilus ult will lock down the LeBlanc in teamfights very, very easily. So now Fnatic, you could ban things like the Camille, which is another champion that locks down the LeBlanc, although maybe Wunder has a good blind pick that will do pretty well into Camille, because I think G2 will give last pick to Targamas here. Of course, mid lane's already been shown. 4-pick mid for G2 makes sense. Now Fnatic have two choices. Ban out
Caps,
LeBlanc.
right? Last pick to Caps?
To Caps.
Yeah, not to Targamas.
To Caps, sorry.
Because I was just like, unless there's Nautilus as mid, I'm slightly confused.
Yeah, 4-pick will come for Caps, so they're just going to ban away champions that are good into the block.
Let's have a look, what else? With the Vex removed, I wonder if Lissandra will also be taken away by Fnatic. It's interesting how, even though LeBlanc is very strong right now and has a lot of options, more and more champions have been shown as an answer into the champ. I remember in the old days, Ahri was actually a really good counter pick into LeBlanc. These days, not so much, but I do wonder if we will see the return of Ahri. We have seen a little bit of it, but not so much so far in playoffs.
So there's the Camille ban. That's obviously targeted at BrokenBlade, but it's more so targeted at a champion that denies to LeBlanc a lot of mobility in fights. Lockdown is really what Fnatic want to avoid. Nautilus ult already hurts. Camille ult would be a disaster. Even opens up things like Galio Camille for G2, which is really hard to engage onto a Zeri, which again, lockdown is what shuts her down. Now Caps has a few options here for mid. Could go for something like Lissandra, could go for something like a Malzahar. Anything with lockdown is fantastic.
Yes.
And to me, as a mid and jungle main a lot of the times, Lissandra was one of my favorite champions as a mid. Lee Sin is jungler. And to me, this matchup, LeBlanc, Lissandra, is determined by jungle. Whoever has Lee Sin wins out. If it's LeBlanc, Lee Sin versus Lissandra, they win out. But going on to the 4-5s, Fnatic are the ones blind picking Jayce, which is interesting to see. I mean, it is Wunder's most played, but they're going for some kind of heavy topside here.
Yeah, with the Jayce in the top lane, you have a huge amount of damage there. Of course, with LeBlanc and Viego, that's a strong 2v2 as well. But now we'll see where G2 decide to round out this draft. Top lane, we expect, is where they're looking. And BrokenBlade on the Yone. Give him a carry in game one. Let's see what he's got.
BrokenBlade has already shown the Yone twice this split and has had a lot of success on the champion. We know that it can be very powerful in team fights. We know that he is very good at the champion, but wow, already we've got very interesting drafts to start off our series.
Yeah, we've got all solo lanes, I think, this game. I mean, you've got Lissandra, LeBlanc with junglers who want to impact that lane. You've got a carry match up top. Whoever gets a lead there will determine the side lanes in the mid to late game. You've got 200 years in bot lane with Zeri, Renata, the release date diff, which might be difficult to G2. And I think just looking at jungle matchup in isolation, winning for Viego in the 1v1, but Jankos has a lot of options on every lane.
My only concern for Fnatic is they have no true frontline. Things like Baron could very well be difficult for them later on into the game. I think being first on the objective is going to be really important, especially when they have so much range to their advantage. As the enemy tries to come and face check, we'll see how Fnatic handles that. But already, this game one is looking to be spicy. We know this series will always deliver in terms of hype, and we're getting ever so closer to jumping onto the Rift for our first game.
We do have a small delay before we're going to get on into the game, so we can talk a little bit more about how we feel these compositions are going to play against each other, whether we are seeing Fnatic and G2 play the way we expected them to as well, because in the regular season, Fnatic weren't that topside focused. Wunder often was left by himself in a side lane, and often we would see G2 look towards that top lane a little bit more, as we see Dylan Falco with a few rewind skills, and we bring the draft back up.
Rewind! It's Echo Ultimate.
Do it again. Wait, that's the, I think that's the quickest chrono shift we've actually ever seen in competitive League of Legends.
Chrono breaking the draft.
Bring it back.
No, but yeah, both comps very interesting. I mean, it is a little bit of topside focus for Fnatic, but they should have bot push as well. They can visit that lane if they want to. My eyes are just on BrokenBlade's Yone. Nice little freeze frame of the bows. Yamato's got a good
There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of respect between the two of them.
Now, I'm not sure how further Dylan went in that bow, but Yamato's winning out.
It's a respect diff.
Also,
you know
the legs are very straight, I think. So that's good to have.
Oh, that's a great point.
I mean, that's all hamstring flexibility right there. You can tell, you know, there's some deadlifting.
Yamato, a bit of a bend in the bow as well, you know what I mean? Posture is important.
Okay, yeah. Got a 360 spin there.
Obviously,
analyze all of these small things.
You have to look at it.
How much impact it can have in the game.
They were analyzing eyebrows, okay? So we've got to step up our game, boys.
And this is why Caedrel is Esports Analyst of the Year, okay? This is the minute details he notices that other people do not notice.
You can see the players, Caedrel. What do you think of their faces?
Have you seen Sherlock, where he walks into a room and he looks at someone, he's like, he knows exactly when they were born, what they're doing, what they work as, where they were doing, what they just ordered for food, like everything.
That's the level you're working towards. You want to look at Jankos in the eyes and know exactly what's going on.
Body language is important. Jankos, I've noticed, is the one player who always drinks his water from the right-hand side of his mouth, because the mic's on the left. He never moves it and drinks from the middle. He always gives it a little angle. On
so a bit of optimization station is what you're telling me?
Min-maxing. It's the distance from the right to the middle can save you hundreds of a second to get some more clicks in.
It's true.
Which is very important.
Wait, but does he do it with his left or right hand?
Right hand.
Oh.
You could say, though,
I think.
if he's drinking water while he's clicking back to lane, it would actually be more efficient just to click once and then not multiple click, because...
But what if he gets engaged
what about
he's running back?
I mean, that's true.
That's true.
But if you're getting engaged on while you're drinking water, there's some other issues going on than your water
drinking. Let's look at the Fnatic side, because Hylissang adjusting his glasses. Focused is the name of the game for both of these teams, and obviously we're just waiting to jump into the Rift right now, so we're looking for anything.
Yeah, we're just trying to find things to talk about. Upset gave a little stretch there, so he's warming up.
But of course, we do have to remind everyone of the importance of this game. This is our upper bracket. Of course, this is Seed 2 versus Seed 4. It was Rogue that chose Misfits, which meant the Fnatic didn't really have a choice, even though finishing second at the end of the regular season. A win will mean that the next opposition will be Rogue. A loss will put the loser down towards the lower bracket. And depending on who loses depends on where they go. G2, given the results of yesterday, will actually be earlier in the bracket. We'll have to play the winner of XL versus Vitality, whereas if Fnatic end up falling short, they will go ahead of Misfits, given that they did end the regular season as the highest seed, and then Misfits will go into the next round following the Vitality XL matchup.
So Fnatic can't get their miracle run all the way through the gauntlet if they lose here. Of course, they skip the first best of 5. They can still skip the second as well if G2 do win. But yeah, G2 losing would put them straight against XL or Vitality.
And as a reminder, the last time that these two teams did match up against each other, it was for that Worlds qualification spot. It was the last one that Europe had last year, and it was a tense battle. So we know that both these teams are going to look for revenge as we're jumping onto the Rift.
onto the Rift we go. For the 73rd time, Fnatic and G2 will meet on Summoner's Rift here in the LEC. All-time head-to-head does go to G2, but it has always been a story of eras between these two teams. Fnatic favored in 2018. G2, of course, when they came into the league, were the dominant force, and now, over the last couple of years, it's, you know, started to move slowly back towards Fnatic again.
The irony of it to me was when Fnatic took the crown, it was then G2 that took caps, and now we're here in 2022, and Fnatic has taken Wunder. And now they also have themselves a championship winning mid laner on their roster in Humanoid as well, and it's kind of like, well, you may have done it to us, G2, but now it's our turn to do it to you. And I'm so excited to see these mid laners in particular match up against each other, because the analyst test talked at length about it. We know that they're considered two of the best mid laners that Europe has ever really seen, and the fact that getting to see them on the Rift in this type of matchup as well is an exciting one for sure.
Definitely is. This is going to be a banger of a mid lane matchup. I think that's where everyone's eyes will kind of look towards, and bot lane is also a small discussion. Yes, you've got the best bot lane in the West in Ups and Hylissang. Debatable, depending on Team Liquid's bot lane, of course, but still up there, at least top two. But on the other side, G2's bot lane, Flakked, Targamas. You talk about Fnatic taking Wunder. These are two rookies, which is very rare for G2 in the last couple of years. As Targamas looks for the hook, this bot lane matchup, range advantage to Fnatic, expecting some early push for them.
And Targamas in not quite his rookie season, because of course he was in Giants in 2019, but he's had a very strong season. Top 3 support in the league alongside Trimby and Hylissang. And as much as Hylissang is a bit of a step above, I think Targamas has very much made a name for himself on this G2 lineup.
I think when you compare the supports as well, they have very similar playstyles. They love to roam. They love to try and attack the mid lane as well. We see Targamas often roaming up towards the top lane to try and set up BrokenBlade for success. Both of them love to have impact all across the map, but with Hylissang on this more range support with the Renata, we'll see how much roaming he does. And already he's going to use that push to get a little bit of information as to what Jankos has been up to. They're going to see these camps are gone, and they're going to know now that Jankos should be on the top side of the map.
Yeah, exactly. They know that bot lane's going to be 2v2 for the next couple of minutes as Humanoid gets a good trade onto Caps. Caps running the Aftershock on Lissandra. The way this matchup works is if LeBlanc W's into him, he's going to use his W instantly, root him, proc his own Aftershock, Q auto attack, and then disengage. Short trades around his Aftershock is what Caps wants to look for, and Q through creeps for poke. Humanoid can kind of W to the side to avoid Caps' W range, and then look for QE autos to proc the electrocute. So it's a little bit of a mind game as to how the LeBlanc wants to dash into gap close onto the Lissandra.
It's important to remember as well in this matchup that while Lissandra is typically considered a very good answer into the LeBlanc, in the early laning phase it can be very rough. Lissandra's Q is a very long cooldown and is her primary wave clear tool and also trading tool. So whenever it's down, Humanoid does have big windows where he should be able to trade advantageously. And you can already see that pressure he's generated as he's gone for a quick back.
Yeah, 3 pushing lanes right now for Fnatic, range advantaged across the board. And like you said, mid-matchup early favorite to Humanoid. Razork's going to be the one that benefits from this. Early base coming in for him. Jankos still clearing out his Krugs, keep up the tempo on the map for the rest of his team. BrokenBlade is just kind of weathering the storm to around level 5, level 6, get his Berserker Greaves, and then he can start to trade pretty aggressively when Jankos cycles through his second clear towards the top side, unless Jankos wants to help out his bot lane, because Fnatic are going to keep up the push there.
And for the moment, both junglers just happy to go through their first initial clears, get their resets off, and then come back onto the map. As you say, push for the Fnatic in the early game means that Upset has a slight CS lead down towards that bottom side. He's just reset and got himself a Sheen. Mid lane for Humanoid is slightly ahead as well, as Caps burns his TP to get back into the lane. Now with Razork coming up here, the harrowed path won't be able to get him close enough to BrokenBlade to really close that gap.
So a pretty slow and steady early game for both sides. Nothing too dramatic, just the back and forth, the ebb and flow. Both junglers just trying to cover for their respective laners right now. You can see Razork, as you rightly said, pathing up towards top primarily to cover for Wunder for the time being. Jankos with insight as to where Razork should be. Going to look for a bit of deep vision down towards the bot side of the map. Also provide that extra cover for Caps as he's looking to try and push this wave out.
Yeah, it's really nice to have a ward on Raptors. As you can see, that's how the trading pattern tends to go. The second LeBlanc W's in, the Lissandra can always win out if the Aftershock is procced and it's a short trade. Vision on one side is so important. Caps has a ward on Raptors. The pings are already coming out, question mark pings. He knows what side to hug. He can hug the bot side of the lane because 1, Jankos and Targamas are leaning towards that area of the river, and 2, he has vision on it. So now they'll spot out Razork, and now he can go to the opposite side. So just trying to make sure he's safe in the early stages because LeBlanc, of course, has really good setup before level 6. Lissandra doesn't have a ult, as Targamas will get cancelled. I think he was looking for maybe a recall there. He's still yet to base, but so is Hilly.
Well, I think Targamas knows for sure that there's at least a ward in there. That has for sure been confirmed. Razork now actually going to start off the Drake. Humanoid going to go back to base. He's likely going to be forced to TP back to mid. Remember that, of course, he does have that advantage over Caps, so this shouldn't be too much of a problem. This is a dangerous situation. Razork does have the level advantage. Fnatic also have the push in bot, but with Caps now hitting level 6 and pushing in mid, going for a reset himself, looks like for now both teams are just going to continue to play it safe.
Caps doesn't have the TP though. With Humanoid TPing back into this lane, he can catch the wave, and Fnatic could look to use that man advantage to gain control of the bottom side river. That's exactly what they're going to do. You can see Hylissang pushing up alongside Razork. You say it's kill range for BrokenBlade in the top lane.
Looked like he had lethal for a second there because he leveled up to 6 in melee range of Wunder. Could have looked for an ult, maybe get his flash, but then again, if Wunder does flash it, he's finds himself underneath the enemy tower, so might have to flash himself, doesn't take the risk. But this is where the matchup can be sort of in a good state for Yone, where he can trade back with the Berserker Greaves. You know, he can E, W him, get slow, walk up, get some Qs, look for Q3s, and then just E back. Shorter trades will benefit him. It's not much action in the early stage. Hylissang, as I say that.
Flash with the shield, looking for the pull back. Flakked is going to use the cleanse here. The chase is on for Targamas. Dredge line into the flash to get away from the damage there. Razork had the Spectral Maw stun ready to go.
So it's a summoner spell trade overall, 2 for 2 in terms of combat summoners. Hylissang losing both, Flakked losing cleanse, Targamas flash is down. Important thing here is I think Fnatic just want to crash this wave. This Caps takes a pretty big trade. Will get out of the range of the R2 there. And Targamas will end up basing. Flakked healthy enough to catch the wave.
Small micro thing that I noticed as I have to hold that. BrokenBlade.
Look at the damage here onto Wunder. Fate Sealed an option. Flash away from Wunder. Smart there. Did it before the Fate Sealed hit means that Jankos couldn't follow up. Wunder will be forced to base here, and Jankos and BrokenBlade can get this wave under the tower.
So that was just a small window that Jankos saw, knowing that Razork was in the bot side looking for a gank and then reset. With a stacking wave, they saw an opportunity to make a play. They do get Wunder's flash, but no first blood drawn just yet. This is the kind of tense start I like to see in a G2 versus Fnatic. Often what we get, actually. Normally game 1's slightly slower. Game 2 is really where the blood starts to flow, when both teams are kind of adjusted to the stage and starting to feel it. One thing I just wanted to note from previous interaction was Targamas actually walked away from Flakked because he knows that the drag that Renata has can actually stun them both. So even though he put himself in a worse position, it was at the betterment of trying to avoid stunning his AD carry. So cool small mechanic there when playing up against the Renata.
Yeah, and I have to say a bit of a difficult game for Jankos right now because he is a little bit behind in XP. His clear is just naturally slower, and the fact that 3 pushing lanes are happening, this is what happens. Humanoid's going to walk into your jungle, ward your camps. There's wards on basically every entrance throughout the game. We saw Hylissang doing it level 2, level 3. It's very hard for him to leave his jungle. Yes, he has playmakers, and he ran top and got Wunder's flash, but the second that play's gone, he can't really contest because the ultimates are quite long cooldown. He knows they're on Herald, and Caps is behind him.
Yeah, Humanoid just looking for the chunk here. Jankos able to dash away, but G2 might still want to take the fight. No Fate Sealed available for BrokenBlade. The smite comes out. Secured. There's the root as well. Frozen Tomb will lock up Razork. He did secure the eye, but he pays for it with his life. Wunder now chased down. No flash, remember, on that. Jayce will be able to escape with a good knockback into the Shock Blast combo. And Wunder will get back to the safety of his tower.
G2 a lot of confidence to walk up there. The power of the Lissandra Lee Sin at these kind of Herald fights is so strong to single out one target, and we saw it there. BrokenBlade didn't even have his own ult. If he did, I think Wunder would die as well. So much chain CC and setup for G2 around this Herald. Fnatic do end up getting it, but first blood across to them.
And I think that's the important thing to note. While Fnatic do give over first blood, they do get themselves the Herald. And when they have these winning lanes, being able to secure that Herald with also very little investment from your bot side of the map means that you can now accelerate the game even further. You can start to funnel more gold into upset if you want to. You can start to open up the map more and then start to be more dynamic with your strong lanes.
Oh, Caps winning out on the trades there. He was walking up into Humanoid. I think he had kill range there with Flash W, Q auto. So Humanoid is going to be forced to back away, and like you said, he has the Herald Razork. Maybe he wants to pop it bot, get upset out of lane, get Hylissang out of lane, and then control the game through mid, as they've already got one dragon that could be their win condition the later this game goes.
And I'm loving the way we're already seeing the balance of power between these two compositions, between these two teams that we saw so much during spring. BrokenBlade, the focal point for G2, he gets the first kill. He's had a lot of attention from Jankos, but Hylissang and Upset getting them ahead is what Fnatic's trying to do. Razork's down on this bottom side of the map. Flakked and Targamas are stuck under their tower. We'll have to see which team can carry more through the threat that they're trying to mobilize.
Yeah, this won't be a full tower because Fnatic don't have enough information as to where G2's mid jungle are. Caps' TP is coming up and Jankos is coming out of base.
Upset.
Targamas looking for Upset here.
Not the best guns for Flakked to follow this one up. If he had Graviton, perhaps they could have locked Upset underneath that tower, but it will just clear out the wave.
For now, Fnatic just continuing to funnel gold, as you rightly said, where their main carry is. We saw how obnoxious Zeri could be yesterday. Even after the nerf, still a very strong champion. Jankos hovering the bot lane. Targamas has ult. No Hex Flash though, and Fnatic's bot lane showcasing that respect. They're just going to go back to base, spend some of that gold. They are chilling for now.
Definitely are, and they've been chilling throughout the course of spring as well. The best bot lane in the West may be challenged, as we said a few times, by Hans Summer and Core JJ, but right now they are definitely at least the best bot lane in Europe. Hylissang, an MVP candidate, upset. Still the best AD carry we have, but also an AD carry that's never really reached the heights of European competition. He's never won a title, no matter how many years he's tried.
This could be the year, though, because Fnatic looking extremely dominant. Last year, of course, didn't make it to that World Championship upset. Fnatic really struggled without him, but I feel like if you look at Fnatic historically as a team, their playstyle just always leaned towards bot, whether it was Reckless or upset. It feels like bot lane's always been a win condition for them, and it's always working.
Perhaps except the age of Puju.
Yeah, but you know who's always been there in the bot lane? His name starts with Hilly and ends with Sang. This man, like, if you give him any time, if you give him any freedom on the map, he can take over a game.
You think back to Worlds. Hang on a second. Humanoid.
He's going to land. Targamas with a depth charge here. Humanoid's going to try and get away. Does still have the flash. Will use it to get under the tower. The chase not followed through by G2.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you think back to Worlds 2020, the best bot lane in the tournament, debatable that it was actually Fnatic of Reckless and Hylissang just doing so much work in the group stage and in...
Fair point.
In Worlds across the entire board. As I say that, Jankos is going to start up the Dragon. Razork is around. Humanoid has TP, but he's very, very low HP.
Upset's a long way away from this one, though. He can, of course, jump across the wall, but a great hook onto Razork into the kickback. Flakked's on his way. Caps coming in from the top side as well. The hostile takeover will force Jankos to attack his teammate, and Razork's able to get one. We saw resets from Viego in the past, but here he's only able to get one out of it. Hylissang locked up as well. 2 kills over to G2 for 1 in response. Yeah, Humanoid, though, looking for the chase as Caps sidesteps, still gets hit by the chains. Targamas coming in from the side, and Flakked will join his mid laner to make sure that Caps can get out alive.
I'm surprised that Fnatic tried to contest that with Humanoid being forced to go back to base. G2, while they did invest a lot of ultimates into trying to fight that play, they still had a numbers advantage. Flakked was able to collapse first, and Razork very quickly found himself at a numbers disadvantage with only Hylissang there to support him. If it weren't for Hylissang's, W, then he likely wouldn't have gotten that kill at all.
Season 12 helped him out, baby. Razork and Hylissang, the duo, managed to find their way out of this fight, which was, yeah, like you said, so disadvantageous. Just look at the map state. It starts off as initial 2v2, but look at the collapse from bot and mid. Caps and Flakked first to arrive. Razork does manage to get the kill onto Jankos, get the reset from almost dying, and then pick him up, but unfortunately he does end up falling. And G2 win out. This early game definitely going in their favor.
Yeah, just honestly, a big blunder from Razork. We did see a few of them towards the end of the regular season, but it seems like, I think the logic was they don't have that many ults, so we can look to contest this, but I don't think he was expecting that quick collapse from Flakked and Caps, and they end up falling short.
Caps. Chain lands, but the Lissandra E buffer came out. Razork's hovering around, but so is Jankos. I mean, just looking across the board, the amount of lockdown G2 have, we've talked about it. It's so oppressive. Fnatic, the Jayce walks up, a Lissandra ult, he's pretty much dead. The Viego, the Zeri, the Renata, like you said in draft Fedi, they don't really have any frontline, and they don't really have any lockdown CC either, barring maybe like a Viego stun, a chain, a Renata ult, but these are all kind of skill shot dependent, so G2 in this mid game probably favored around objective fights. Fnatic needs to set up very carefully. They have a little bit of poke with Jayce and with the LeBlanc.
And even with Fnatic picking up the Rift Herald earlier on, the story of plates actually goes in G2's favor. They were able to get 1 in the bottom lane, 4 in the mid lane, and 2 in the top lane, losing only 4 in the bottom lane for themselves. So G2, even though they didn't have that neutral, were still able to get more gold out of the map.
Keep your eyes on the TPs. Both top laners have them. They have been unleashed. Here they come.
Hostile takeover is going to come out. Only hits on Targamas and Caps on the backline. TP coming in from Wunder. Counter TP now used by BrokenBlade. G2 looking to front to back this one as Caps dives in. Stop. Uses the Frozen Tomb on himself. Jankos on the backline. Caught out by Humanoid. Razork gets 1 reset. He's looking for more as he gets the second. Flakked forced away. And Fnatic continue to barrel into the fight. Jankos locked up with the chains and locked back to the fountain. Only BrokenBlade survives.
Oh, the bot lane of Fnatic just winning this fight single-handedly. Hylissang living, giving Razork the revive. Upset cleaning up. Strikes again with the resets. BrokenBlade didn't have ultimate for this fight, so G2 dived onto the backline, but there wasn't enough follow-up. Targamas ult didn't come out in time. The Ignite is still up, and as I said, G2 might be favored around these fights. Fnatic just straight up outplay them.
Yeah, I was surprised because the start of that fight looked really good for G2, but things very quickly fell apart. And as you rightly mentioned, Caedrel, so much of the credit needs to go to this Fnatic bot lane. We're seeing the power of Renata in these fights, her ability to just give that extra bit of time onto the carries to turn the fight in their favor.
Look at Hilly. Look at how far he's walking up right now. If he gets turned on right now by Jankos, he's dead. But no, he doesn't care. Upsetting him, do so much work, and then the dive from Caps onto Razork. Hilly lives by flashing away, gives the revive to Razork. He ends up going into zombie form, gets the kill, a reset, almost dies again, gets another reset, and just so much work. Upset cleaning up the entire time.
Oh my word, Hylissang. He reminds me of Balrang from yesterday. You know, doesn't care, just walks into the face of the enemy, says that, you know what, this is my space, I will be fighting for it, and he does a great job. Also, his use of the stun was perfect as well, showcasing some higher level Renata gameplay there. But wow. You can now see kind of, I was a little worried about Fnatic's comp. How are they actually going to be able to play these fights? Because G2 can just kind of run at them face forward because of this lack of frontline. But if you overcommit, that ability to have that revive, get those resets off, it's definitely a scary comp.
Just look at the levels in jungle right now. Jankos sitting at level 8, just leveled up to 9. Razork level 10. Big experience advantage for him because of these fights, because of the fact that he had all these pushing lanes. We saw when he heralded bot, he took away his Gromp. He was able to get camps in his favor. 40 CS lead across to him. That's 10 camps, so such a huge favor for Razork right now. Jankos, a lot of playmaking, but no pushing lanes to work with. Didn't find much in the early game. They did get that good dragon fight. We'll see if they can find more, but for now, Razork showing up in the first 50 minutes of the game for Fnatic right now.
He really is, and considering that he was relatively quiet for Fnatic in the regular season, it's a great look for him. Obviously, a few of these kills have been very much facilitated by the fact he has a Renata who can give him that bailout and get him out of the fight, but now we'll see perhaps if Jankos and BrokenBlade can strike back in the top lane as the Fate Sealed does exactly that for Wunder.
Yeah, G2's comp, like we said, Yone, Lissandra, Nautilus, whatever it is, walking in front of you. Fnatic's champions, the second they're locked down, they're pretty much dead. Wunder getting caught there. He thought he was safe because the amount of vision he has towards the top side and the fact that his team is on Herald. But yeah, Jankos smartly coming through lane. 100% kill participation for him. They find another play there, which is fantastic for them in these early stages because BrokenBlade's going to be so pivotal on the side lane. Hylissang 1v1ing BrokenBlade.
Yeah, but look at where Razork is. BrokenBlade does have flash. Razork's going to meet him as he comes back from the Soul Unbound. Hylissang looking for the flank position here. Hostile takeover under the tower. Instead, just hits him with a bit of a loyalty program.
Do you see the video on YouTube where it's like Hilly doesn't listen to his teammates for 3 minutes straight?
Hey guys, we can fight this. No, we don't want to fight this dragon. No, we can fight. I've got an angle. I've got an angle.
He's against top esports, contesting Dragon 1 vs 5 as Braum. His whole team's in base. He's like, no, I think they're giving this. It's like, Hilly?
This is a good fight. This is a good fight.
Are you okay? There was a moment there where I thought that was happening, but no. Upset was gap closing. Razork was just behind, and yeah, Hilly strikes again, gets BrokenBlade's flash.
It's just, trying to understand Hilly is just, it's too great a task for any single human mind, okay? His brain thinks too many steps ahead of ours, and again, he managed to get BrokenBlade's flash off the back of that, and it cost him absolutely nothing, so we understand, or you got a glimpse here of why he is one of the front runners for MVP of the split. He's been consistent throughout this split as Fnatic now look to collapse onto Caps, but he should be fine.
Yeah. Just gets away with the path of ice there. Underneath the tower, chains don't connect. Rift Herald will come down and Caps can continue to walk away.
Cross maps coming in now. Look at G2, look at Fnatic. Split map, Herald top. G2 are going to answer with this bot tier 1 you have to expect, but BrokenBlade has TP and they're really far down in tempo because of this Herald. Maybe they want to TP top themselves here, G2. I think they have a pretty good window if the members of G2 can push out mid and move towards top. There is a ward behind them. If Fnatic look for this tier 2 top, they are quite deep right now. We'll see if they do it because they did ping that ward in the lane behind them. G2 have some options, but it looks like Fnatic is just going to back away. And if Fnatic went deep there, they would have got TP'd on behind. They're just going to smartly back away, and it will be a 1-for-1 tower trade. But the Herald gives you so much tempo on the map that I think Fnatic were thinking about a tier 2.
I actually really like the reset from Fnatic because there's 40 seconds on the next Drake, and if they get this, they're on Soul Point only 19 minutes into the game. So resetting there, and now advancing your vision line down this bottom side of the map can put them in a really good position.
So now what you'll see happen is the reverse. Like you said, Fnatic's going to move into the bot side, but Caps is pushing top. Humanoid doesn't have TP because he used it top, so maybe he can get this top tower.
Oh, this is smart from G2. They knew that Hylissang would want to try and get vision in here. They look for the damage. BrokenBlade on the backline, but Hylissang with the stopwatch keeps himself alive.
He's still alive.
He dies in the end, though. He'll come back with the bailout, but in the end, he couldn't find another assist, so he can't come back to the fight. 4v4 now around this dragon.
Support for support have been traded. Fnatic continuing to posture around the Drake. They do not want to give this one up. Upset and Humanoid are still alive.
Eyes on Caps and Jankos. They have ultimates to work with.
Frozen Tomb, an option. Razork forced away. Everfrost just short. Flakked down to half HP as Humanoid continues to poke and prod. Caps down below half as well. Wunder on that front line can land a lot of poke with the Shock Blast. Accelerating gate combination. The Dragon doing a bit of work here for Fnatic as well. Jankos going forward. Caps diving in. Frozen Tomb. Wunder onto the back line. Flakked forced away. Wunder just melts him down. Dragon secured by Fnatic as well, as is the fight. BrokenBlade. What can you do against the might that's Fnatic? He gets one, but for it, Fnatic, G2 lose everything.
Fnatic is just straight up outplaying G2 around these dragon fights. They had so much to work with G2, so much turn, they were looking for it, but Fnatic just didn't give it to them. Now they're sitting on Infernal Soul Point, they were playing so patiently around the range, and props to Humanoid in that fight. Stop watching the second Caps jumps on him.
That was so insane. I wanted to bring that up as well, Caedrel, because the reaction time required for that was just spot on. Humanoid sees the engage coming through. Caps delays the second cast of his E to the very last second so that he can try and catch Humanoid off guard, but he's able to react in time, buy the time, and then Wunder gets the flank around, dives onto the back line, and wins the fight for Fnatic.
You're completely right, Vedi. There's a frame with Lissandra E where the animation disappears, but you can still teleport on it. We'll have a look at that, because that's exactly what Caps does. He's going to throw out the E here, and now the animation disappears, but he can still appear on it for a split second, so Humanoid reacts with the stopwatch.
Oh, there it is.
Wunder sees the opportunity to turn. Caps flashes to try and gap close onto Wunder to ult him, but because Wunder is going so far deep forwards, he's already killed Flakked by the time he arrives, and then that's just it, straight up. Fnatic win the fight, only losing Wunder at the end of it.
We talked about Caps versus Humanoid as players. We talked about how Humanoid has risen to the title of king here in Europe. Back-to-back title holder. Caps has been trying to return to form, and Humanoid once again finds another kill, and we're seeing why Humanoid is so widely recognized.
Hylissang in the flank position here. Hostile takeover, meaning Jankos is caught out. Caps now trying to do what he can. He dances away with the glacial path. But 3v5, G2 just making a beeline for their base, but instead they're making a beeline for their coffins. Fnatic nailed them down in the dirt.
5 kills to Fnatic. Baron is up. The map is owned by Fnatic right now. G2 tried to find a single target, but it was Humanoid who found the initial pick, and then G2 just got collapsed on.
It was a slow start, but it has exploded into Fnatic domination. They got themselves the Baron off the back of that last fight.
We saw it on the screen, Caedrel.
I thought the Baron was still up, but yeah, TP bot, they have tempo around the entire map. That's going to be 3 tier 2s, I think.
And what an explosion it is for Fnatic. From 2,000 gold behind at that second Dragon fight to now 9,000 gold ahead at the 22-minute mark. And we've talked a lot about Humanoid and the battle with Caps, but I also want to bring attention to the fact we have heard from Fnatic that it is Humanoid in the mid-game, out of the laning phase, that is making a lot of these shot calls for them.
Yeah, G2 know that Fnatic have Nash and they want to start sieging. They have good waves on sides coming in and they can start pushing to tier 2, so make a pick before that happens, but Fnatic read the play and they respond well.
Just flawless execution so far from Fnatic. You know, when they do hit this mid-game point, they do look scary. I mean, the early laning phase looked good, and I started to have concerns. We saw a few fights that didn't really go in their favor after we were moving out of the laning phase, but the team fights, Fnatic still look so flawless. And of course, we haven't talked about him, but Upset, the quiet carry. You know, you have to recognize his talent. You have to recognize how strong he is. 4-0-6 is the scoreline, but he's been untouched in every single fight. And while we've been talking about Humanoid and Hylissang and how obnoxious they're being, even if you get through that, there's still the big damage dealer of this Zeri to deal with as well. It feels like that this game is all but done and dusted.
Yeah, we talked about Fnatic not having frontline, but they have so many threats. Even Hylissang is walking up and 1v1ing people at this point, so many things they have to look out for. Flakked with no flash, no Gale Force now. He can't even be on the same screen as anyone. One Jayce Q he has to base. Humanoid can dash forwards and basically one-shot him, so now Fnatic only 10 seconds left on this Nash. This is the last wave they can play on.
And try and get it underneath the tower. They do, down to about half HP, down to a third now as Upset continues to push in the hostile takeover. Use just the disengage as Caps has to walk away. He's chunked to 50% of his health bar, and Fnatic will be able to walk into that inhibitor. G2 haven't done much wrong this game. They have just been on the losing side of a Fnatic diff, it feels. Fnatic have played them around the map, and the question is, what can G2 change for Game 2 that will really alter the course of this series?
Well, they still have some life left in them. Not very much, of course. With the bot inhib down, with the position that Fnatic find themselves in, it's ultimately a question of, will Fnatic give G2 the opportunity to stall the game out? Of course, you still have things like Yone, Aphelios, massive late-game threats that if given enough time, enough levels, enough items, can 1v9 a game themselves. Yeah. But Fnatic is unlikely to give them the space to do so.
And time is ticking. 20 seconds on that Infernal Soul. The second that's gone, that's a buff for the rest of the game. Fnatic will run away with it with champions like LeBlanc and Jayce. They're setting up for it. G2 know this is their only chance to have anything whatsoever in this game. They only have one tower, so they can't even push out waves to contest this. Fnatic could just push in mid and look to end if they know where G2 is right now.
The pings are coming down.
But they're collapsing on them a little bit. Humanoid's looking for some kind of poke. G2 kind of backs against the wall here.
Backs against the wall, being knocked down a couple of times. Backs against the ropes. G2 have to find a punch. Had to find some sort of haymaker to get themselves back in this game because currently they're staring down super minions in the bottom lane. An Infernal Soul in a few seconds time. Humanoid dancing in once again. Flakked with the Bloodthirster is going to be able to keep himself a little bit healthier, but continue to look at these shock blasts connecting.
Fnatic know they just have to play the time game. Minions are just knocking into the base, but the Dragon's low.
Dragon down, secured by Jankos. G2 will get it, no Infernal Soul, but the hostile takeover. Wunder once again looking for his man on the back line, and instead it's Razork who rips through them. G2, you get the Dragon, but at what cost? At what cost? Fnatic swipe them away in the river, and they're TPing for the win.
Yeah, TP coming in. Wunder is dead, of course. Razork falls too. They get 2 kills, G2, but Fnatic are just way too far ahead right now. The Dragon secure was great, but Fnatic are just going to end it now.
In the early game, it was punch after punch landed by both teams, but ring, time's up. Unspeakable violence from Fnatic in the mid-game as they demolish G2 in game 1.
You can see the smile on Wunder's face. You know that's got to feel good. It was Fnatic that denied him an opportunity to go to Worlds last year, and in this best of 5, he already leads with first blood. Fnatic looking good here in game 1.
What a statement. 26-minute game. Yep. That was extremely quick. It was a little bit back and forth in the early stages. We got to like 15, 16 minutes. We thought maybe the mid game will be pretty even. G2 have options, but no, 2 fights. One around the Dragon, and then around the Baron. The game's just blown wide open.
And I feel like you summarized it perfectly, Caedrel, at the early game, which was that Fnatic just had winning lanes all across the board. There was a range advantage in top. There was a range advantage in bot, and Humanoid on that LeBlanc in the early levels just dominated the laning phase, and that gave Fnatic so much freedom, so much space to just slowly accrue control. And it felt like G2, even though their composition had answers to what Fnatic wanted to do, they didn't have the early game agency required to actually go toe-to-toe with Fnatic, and then when those fights happened, Fnatic tore them apart.
It's very possible just a few small changes would change the outlook of that game for G2. Maybe a lane that has a bit more priority, maybe a lane that isn't going to be constantly hampered back at their tower early on.
Well, I think with this loss, G2 can probably choose blue side now, and we heard on the desk how strong blue side is. Every team is favoring blue side now, so maybe that changes up the draft for them.
Maybe it does. Fnatic demolish G2 in game 1 of this series, but can the most winningest org in EU history bounce back in game 2? Find out after the break.
I'm gonna go take a break. Cool. Ooh.
Even the biggest champ needs a break.